best of the best go head-to-head. Kicking us off, it'll be Artorias versus DreamPlayer at 4:30 p.m. Set 1, Wraith on Dead Dog Saloon. Set 2, Cenobite on Dead Dog Saloon, and a tiebreaker of Ghoul on Suffocation Pit 1. Then for the second series, we have Celestial versus Diamond Dogs at 6 p.m. Set 1, Lich on Ormond Lake Mine. Set 2, Nightmare on Dead Dog Saloon, and a tiebreaker of Ghoul on Suffocation Pit 1. Yet again, following that, a mid-table clash. IMO versus Ancestor at 7:30 p.m. Set 1, Mastermind on Cold Tower 1. Set 2, Dredge on Midwich Elementary, and a tiebreaker of Oni on Cold Tower 1. And lastly, an interesting one to finish us off, Flatline versus Scouts at 9 p.m. Set 1, Ghoul on Suffocation Pit 1. Set 2, Blight on Suffocation Pit 1, and a tiebreaker of Demogorgon on Cold Tower 1. That's a lot of Suffocation Pit 1, but running it back like we never left is Hunter in a box, but with me is Head Peaches 111. How we doing, mate?
I am doing fantastic, and we're already getting straight into the first chase goblin on the killer. Looks like we found Feng Yin over here at the wagon, swinging through it. We held W over to the next tile over here toward 8. We swing down the pallet, not quite yet. This is a really nice first chase, and just also wanted to keep in mind this is a ping matchup, so we will see some crazy hits, especially with the Wraith when he comes out of the uncloak. You're gonna see some wackiness here. So we will drop a lot of the pallets early on in this gallows area. It looks like we will take our first tag over to Shack, but there is so much progress on the map here. Yuan and Hoxton are doubling up on a gen. Saudai Dao on their own gen, dropping the sheep pellet on the wrong side. It seemed to look like they're trying to proc life that doesn't exist. Looks like they're holding W through the window, and I don't think they make it back toward the wagon. It looks like actually they just barely make it. They drop the pallet. Goblin doing some mind games, but this chase is going on very, very long here, and they make it back over the pallet, winning another 50s. We gotta win a couple more, unless they can just hold W all the way to 7. This is going crazy. We'll get the pallets done, and we force the I don't think they're going for the pallet break quite yet, but that will give them enough distance to make it all the way to 9. And when they go toward 9, no, not a hex, sorry. This perk was throwing me off a little bit with the detective, not the detective sunch, but we'll get the down eventually. But there is so much gen progress on the board here. Holy crap. And if the Painters isn't in the area, we might even see Saudai Dao and Hoxton pop the second gen, which would be crazy for the first chase. And that's what it does look like. And oh, there's no Painters either. We just have the crowd control, Ruin, and Penty and Sloppy. The very interesting build. Sorry, the chase happened so fast I didn't even get a good chance to get my bearings here. Holy crap. This is a very glass cannon type build, especially with the start that we have here with 2 gens popping, a very long chase. And if these totems lead the trial early on, it could spell problems for Goblin.
And that's Ruin gone already, so we're only a 2 per candy, right? And actually 3 perk as we do light it back up there with Pentimento. We do have the likes of Crowd Control and Sloppy Butcher to aid us a little later on in the trial. But that was a very good chase from Feng Yang at the very beginning of the game. You did see them drop the pallet on the wrong side over at Shack, and that's just to body block the Wraith just from insta-breaking that and following up the chase there. But regardless, there's going to be chase over at main, but Goblin straight back on the case, ready to get that talent. We know how dangerous it is to die over towards 8 more so, especially if you get caught over here being the tunnel out and whatnot. You do see the Crows leading off into 6, so we've made away from backyard, which is a very good thing for our survivors. Definitely don't want to be getting caught in there 100% of the time, because usually there's that really tight 3 gen amongst Gallows 7 and 8. Regardless, Goblin going to be trying to monkey swing through that pallet and gets hit on the head with it, stunned even. That's some more smash hit value twice in a row. Feng Yang is going to be using the short filler on the outside of 3 and 4. Nice body blocks coming in, but I think we sacrificed a little too much distance. No, we didn't. We're able to drop the pallet and create even more down into 2, where we have this window laid nicely for us, but we opt to greed it just to bait out the killer a little bit. We do have enough distance to reach the pallet. Do we go for the mind game on the outside of the loop? No, we don't, but we do go down at it, and we tried playing a 50 there by crouching at the pallet. It did not work out in our favor. Regardless, for 2 stages, look at the gen pressure in the background there. You mentioned it earlier on before in the early bits of the trial, and yeah, 100%. Getting that generator over at mid-6 road was just a blessing in disguise, really. And this generator here over at 8, when that pops, it's just going to be absolute problems for our killer here, considering the fact that all the generators are so far spread. Even in the Wraith's cloak, it's just going to be so hard to keep on top of, because everybody else on the trial is healthy, and we're not taking advantage of any tags. And it's kind of the trade-off from not bringing pain resistance. I feel like that first hook would have probably got a little bit more value if we were able to regress some of the progression on the map, and we even lost the totem in the process. That was Ruin gone, Pentimento even as well. Kind of happy to play through crowd control. We don't even give a damn about it. So Goblin, caught in between a rock and a hard place, does manage to find out our ACR sitting over towards 9 comfortably. Does vault the pallet as well. He has another drop filler here more towards the central part of 10. However, after a few quick seconds here, we are just going to be eating that tag and running straight to the backside of main towards 11, where we can potentially use main or even toilet pallet because we don't have enough distance once the Wraith is back in cloak, so we're just forced to use this 11 pallet. As it does go down, it is just going to be insta-broken, and we are pretty much zoned into the corner of 11 here. We're not going to be able to make one, especially when Goblin does manage to get in front of our survivor there. Shortly after, we are just going to opt to go for our death location over towards 11, and it's still looking like dire problems with that generator about 50% of the way off in the distance there. I do believe that would be the likes of 4 being worked, but I could be wrong. However, it's looking, oh yeah, it's 8, so, oh, sorry, 6, more towards mid 6, 7, so yeah, it's looking pretty grim for our killer here, Peaches.
Yeah, at this point in the trial, I mean, most of the time we want to get this down to the 3v1 as soon as possible, but with 1 gen remaining and no way of regressing the gens except having the dry kicks, I think it's time that Goblin tries and finds the fresh hook survivors. Goblin knows with this gen spread, there is no way that they're gonna be able to hold this unless chases like end now. Like that's basically where we're at right now. So if Goblin can find Yuan, if they can find Zhao Dao, and well, here's the first one. Yeah, we're able to biplock him on the wagon there a little bit. This is a good start. If we can get this down, at least we can get another fresh out of the way. Then we'll have to hunt down Yuan, and at least when we go to the swap sides, the survivor side of Artorias won't be struggling too poorly on their side. Go swinging through the pallet, and we will get the 3rd fresh. And it looks like we are gonna slug this. Actually, I think we want to camp, see who's over here at 3. Although this is another fresh hook survivor. This is another survivor we definitely want out of here. Not quite going for the pallet over here at 4. We opt to go for the water tower here. I think Goblin will commit this and try to swing through that. Not quite able to get. We get the smash the pallet onto our killer's head, but now I think we will finally get the pickup on to Zhao Dao. I think that we will go for a base milk. It is kind of centralized in the middle of these generators here. Like I said, there's not really much of a 3-gen to be held here, but at least this is something. This is the route that Goblin will be going back and forth between the generator at 3 and the generator at 7 here. So this isn't completely out of the way, putting them right here in the middle here. But now Goblin's kind of going to be fine sitting around here. We really want to find Yuan though. Yuan is the one to go for. We see yeah, well, there you go. Hello. You speak and they shall appear. And crowd control actually getting some value here. We try vaulting into main, but you can see the window is blocking Yuan. Now goes down, but Goblin wants to get even more pressure on the board. Going for the basement. We do catch out. Hawkson over here trying to go for the unhook on Zhao Dao. We will see the gen pop in the background for it. We get the first injury. We'll follow it up with the second. This will be the down here, but I think we got to pick up Yuan here because if we go for this pick, I think that might give enough time to get the pick up onto Yuan. Yes, you do see Feng Yun getting the pick onto them. If they leave the trial, this could be problems for the side of Artorias. And if they're able to stealth this out and get a reset, which will be difficult with the Sloppy Butcher, this could be really, really bad for Goblin. We see some of the scratch marks going toward 2, trying to make their way to 1. Yes, there they are. This is the target. This is Yuan, and I don't think there's anyone else around here to take any body marks or to take any hits. So this will be the 4th and final fresh hook secured for Goblin. So looking pretty solid for Goblin despite the start that they had, at least getting some more stages on the board. And I believe they might just opt to stay around here or maybe look for Zhao Dao, maybe to get a couple more. But I think more than likely survivors will take what they got with the 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 stage 4 fresh results. At least that's what I would do in this situation.
Yeah, it's looking like they're going to be playing safe here. Although you'd like to escape with the 2 remaining stages, I'm not too sure that they're willing to risk that. Goblin is just going to be trying to secure all remaining stages. And, you know, Sloppy Butcher really taking into effect during this late game. It needed to a lot earlier if we were managed to get our tags. But I don't think the survivors actually allowed for it until that last 3 generator scenario happened because of the cluster. You know, it was pretty far dispersed, but it was still all within a line that Goblin could kind of just patrol around the area, get his tags in, and then Sloppy Butcher, obviously, like I was saying, just takes into effect. So it makes it all that little bit harder to get your resets in. You're really feeling that in the end game. But they're all nice and healthy now, and they're ready to come in for the protection hits and try to get our friendly face off of the hook and out of the trial here. So they are playing for the remaining 2 stages. This one body block gone. One health state gone rather, but this should be the unhook just happening right before our eyes, and even a block from Goblin really trying to facilitate the down onto Yuan as opposed of taking a tag that will sacrifice a lot of distance here, trying to get in front of him even, but it's proving to be pretty difficult to get this hit tank coming in, and I'll be very surprised if they manage to do so. Hang on a second, do they go Peepo Fat? Oh my god! Goblin isn't going to be giving it up easily here, but he does eventually just eat the tag and then straight back onto the case, onto Yuan there. Cloak's back up here. Does have a little bit of time, but needs to make sure he doesn't get body blocked, and he doesn't. Oh, it's so close, and we have the body still, but we don't get it. Heal tech's coming in, maybe. That's your only one saving grace of this scenario, but unfortunately, we are a little too far away from the exit gate there, and they did try, and they almost got it in the end, but that will result in the 8-stage game, which is exactly the tournament average. Well, not the tournament average, because the tournament average is technically 4K1 at the moment, but this is the expected result that the balancing team had set upon everyone. So, yeah, you know, 8 stages actually isn't pretty bad, especially when we get 7 stages now. They can't afford to get 8 stages and call it a tie to go to the tiebreaker, and our killer, it's a little bit easier for him. He can get 7 stages and then he just walks home happy. So, oh, it's on 8 stages. Sorry, 8 stages and he walks home happy. It's rough. It is extremely rough. And you know, even just looking at that game just before the DCs actually had happened, it was looking pretty bad. I mean, it was a very forceful start. So many chases, so many tags, and hopefully he can just keep up the second time around because, you know, it is also unfortunate to the killer to, this is a very, I'm not even really too sure. It is an inconvenience to him, I guess. Yeah, it's because he was having such a good start. So hopefully this time around, everything's nice and dandy. Yes, V4 back the man for the job here. He's going to be spawning pretty much in almost the same position, more towards 9 as opposed of like 7 this time around. However, he has made the exact same rotation to spot anybody out. He's going to be checking his totem as well. Is that somebody's head behind the window there? That's a horrible stealthing location. Please, just be in a more safer position to force the chase if that's going to happen. Regardless, we have kind of sent it and baited out V4. It is going to be Nagi in chase, so it's going to be the exact type of scenario that we saw last game. So cloaking up here, following up the chase after a miss swing on the window. They're going to be blocked with crowd control, but we don't want any of it. V4 straight back on that totem. Really scared that somebody is going to be working it, but he kind of just has to leave it. I do presume that they would just be slamming out the generators right now, but, you know, better safe than sorry. Has the time to do so after, you know, taking the first chase for a couple of seconds and then going back and seeing what his options are. He does have the likes to do so, but he will eventually have to commit something. So back towards the backyard area, not really hearing any progress in this vicinity. So pretty happy to take his ground over towards 6, where he does see another survivor over at the pallet. It's the exact same one. It's going to be Nagi here dropping the pallet just before our eyes, and that's going to be an instant break following up the chase. After that, doesn't really have a lot to be working on. He does have this pallet here, but what afterwards? These are some resources going down nice and early, pretty hot, and yeah, before the doorway, I do think, no, he doesn't get blocked because of the fence and the boxes and how they've been placed, but that's going to be our Ruin broken in the background there. So you could see why V4 was so paranoid about it at the beginning of the game. He knew somebody was in that vicinity, so I'm sorely mistaken. Regardless, it's going to spell a pretty good tag onto Nagi, and he's forced over into 8 here. This is a horrible spot to be dying, especially towards the late game. Maybe early game it's fine, but oh my god. Oh, that's ugly. That's the 150 ping coming into full effect. A taste of China, how do you like that?
Yeah, you hate to see it sometimes, but at the same time, it can be very entertaining to see the shotgun blasts. We do see the first pain res being used, and crowd control still in play once again. It's crazy that Ruin has been cleansed both times in both trials, and crowd control still staying up. So we will check our totem once again. I think we thought we might have seen Claudette's hair there for a second, but we do find Drown over here at 2, immediately dropping the pallet. But one thing that's really going to catch up to these survivors that I've noticed, they've thrown a lot of these pallets before V4 can fully uncloak, and we're breaking a lot of resources. We're using a lot of resources. Ooh, we did get a nice pallet stun onto V4 here, but as we go into the mid to late game, these chases don't last long enough. It can really bite them in the backside going deeper in the game. But V4 happy with going back to the back to Nagi on the hook, maybe confirming second. We maybe want to go for the tunnel, especially with our second hex already leaving the trial. We won't have any crowd control, no Ruin, and all we have now is Sloppy and Pain Res. So Pain Res, I think, is still going to be the play to go over Penti, in my opinion. I mean, Penti, once again, is well, hexes in general are a glass cannon type build. So having Pain Res, having that confirmed regression is always nice, especially in those last second moments. But yeah, we are able to camp Nagi to second second stage, so we will have a tunnel out coming up soon. Hearthstone is able to pop the second generator. Now we have an idea of where everyone's at. Someone's working on the 4th-gen, someone's working on, well, was just popping the second generator. Now, yep, here it is. Yeah, Drown was the one that was working away at that 4th-gen, and we dropped the pallet earlier and broke the door earlier as well. So there's really not a whole lot to use around this area if we really wanted to follow up with the Drown, although they did make a lot of distance to the front of main, so maybe they could still use that area. But I think we're gonna be happy with just spreading the injuries, keeping Nagi on the hook as long as possible. We will get the down onto Hearthstone, but this will be another painter, so we probably will just pick and maybe go for it. I don't know. I think I would have personally. I think it would have been better to go for the pick and get the painters and then chase after in our close form. But still going for the tunnel out and getting it to the 3v1 as soon as possible is never a bad plan, especially when we take him all the way over to the front of main. This can be a very strong power, or can be very weak if we can do the mind games and holding W through it. We're not going toward the lockers. I don't know that we make it toward the window. No, we do not. This is a very fast down onto Nagi, and Nagi leaving the trial at 3 generators remaining. This is not looking good for Artorias here, Hunter.
Yeah, the difference is the tunnel out was backed up this trial. It wasn't in the last trial, but we do manage to get another generator done. Hang on a second. It doesn't really matter. We found our injured survivor here. That's going to be Drown going down as well. All in the meantime, we see Hearthstone in the background get reset by Goblin. Straight back on the floor and back on the case here. V4 going to be looking over towards 4. Say 4 one more time. I dare you, Hunter. I dare you. But we're going to be taking the break onto that generator and just trying to sniff out who was in sight. But I don't think that anywhere nearby. If they were going to be resetting anywhere, it was probably more towards, yeah, this side of the map here, either towards 8 or more so 11, but it was 8, and our killer on the same wavelength is going to be following up onto Ace after getting that nice tag. Now Goblin forced to use the carriage pallet here. Not too sure he still has Shack. I didn't take note of if it was dropped or not, but it does look like it was dropped. I did zone out for a sec, but we are going to be uncloaking there, trying to catch out our Ace off guard, and Goblin's just made enough distance to make down to 6, pre-drops it safely, and can potentially just make 8 as well if he does have something to be working with, but it does not look like he does. He has dropped the firecracker in hopes of a weird blind, but there is a very short filler to be working with, and he's just greeted it entirely and full sent it down to 9. Love this play coming in from Goblin, but after that, unfortunately, Iron Jesus not by his side. He's going to be going down just in the likes of Edge Map 9. It's going to be Drown actually up and off the floor there, but still injured, which means that they're potentially going to be slamming out the generators as opposed to going for the resets here, playing the 3v1 somewhat actually aggressive as opposed to playing it a lot more passive and going for those resets. However, V4 does know that, and he would think that if there's any survivor to be working that generator, it's going to be the injured. We're not quite out our win condition here yet. We do have 4 stages allocated towards our name, so we do need an extra 4, but actually, yeah, an extra 4 regardless. It's going to be the tag onto Hearthstones here, so even if you were to down Hearthstones and camp them out to all remaining stages, would not be enough. However, look at that mean old 3-gen there. That's 7, 6, and Gallows. That's going to be hell on earth for our survivors to be working with here. We are going to be spotting out Drown, making his rotation towards the main of the map there, but we're going to be slamming the pallet in his backside, vaulting over once as well, makes a way to main, and V4 going to be happy to take that break and straight back to the 3-gen. Doesn't want to risk chasing anything that he doesn't need to. Still has everybody in the trial injured. We have Sloppy taking into effect here, so it's really pulling its weight. However, with nothing else but pain resonance, this could prove to be problems, especially if we don't manage to get it down, if our survivors manage to reset all in the meantime. They're in their downtime at the moment. It's looking pretty grim. We are taking these kicks to these generators here, but no eruption in our back pocket, so it's not going to do us too much by dry kicking some of these generators. However, we've spotted out Drown making a very awkward yeah, a very awkward path towards the gens, and considering the fact that he is injured, that will be a massive blunder, one that really they could not afford to be happening. It's going to be him on a pain resonance hook as well to negate any sort of pressure that they'll be pulling up if they are playing aggressive and not going for a reset, which I'm very surprised that we have not seen a reset come in just yet. I mean, it kind of just backs up the thought that, yeah, they're going to be playing the gens. Yeah, look at this. No, we got Goblin ready for a reset over at 11, and Hearthstone's making a rotation that probably should have been made a lot earlier. This call should have been made a lot earlier, because V4, after getting that hook, knows it. He's going to be going to the backside of 11, kicking this door. No, please. I know you're trying to cut somebody off here, but I hate when that door's broken anyway. This could prove to be still problems for our survivors. Going to be playing for a head-on play, potentially. He knows that he's in the... Oh! and he wins the W stuff. But we still need Drown off the hook here, Peaches.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see the reset earlier as well. I mean, I know Sloppy Butcher is in play and does slow down those resets just a little bit. Oh no, we thought we went back to the hook, and we are gonna get this down onto Goblin. We're gonna go back to Drown, and Hearts should be over there trying to unhook, unless they're going to stealth to try and pick up Drown. I think, yeah, they were trying to go for the unhook, but they have to hide near a resource because that down came by too fast before kind of faking out Goblin a little bit, thinking that they were going over to the unhook, but yeah, look at this. We find Hearts of Snuts at probably one of the worst pallets in existence on ping. Yeah, before you can see him looking around, he is happy about this result. This is the 4K1 to 4 fresh 8 stages. So very well played. Congratulations, DreamPlayer, getting the first set win on the board here. Going into their pick, going into what was the second set? I'm going back over the set by Fire.
Sorry, wait. What, did we just lose Peaches? Unfortunately, I'll take over. To apologize. Yeah, this is gonna be the last hook. Obviously, we're moving on into the next set here, which will be, yes, Cenobite on the exact same map. And if we do need it, there is a goal. Welcome back, everyone. Still solo casting it, but it's fine. You know, we love it here over at OSL. We're going to be seeing once again the first half of the Cenobite set, where unfortunately we were met with a DC due to a balance violation. However, that will incur a minor penalty, a negative 0.5 again, but if it is to happen again, it will fall underneath the category of a repeated balance offense, which will invoke a higher tier penalty. So these boys have to be careful this time around. They need to be checking builds, but everything seems to be all dandy, at least for now. You know, it's pretty early on, and I know RFs are checking the builds to kind of just back up the thought of everything being all good. You know, so we are going to be finding the box straight off the rip, and that's going to dob in all the survivors hiding out of the top side. We do have someone nice, safe and sound over towards the top of main, but he is going to be getting hit with a chain. If that is my ears serving me correctly, it's going to be Goblin up there somewhere around the main building, and yeah, he is around the window there. We do have Drown inside of a locker trying to evade all of the chains, playing for a head-on save or a head-on of any capacity. However, Goblin going to be slow vaulting that window very nicely and does have the backside to be working with. Anarchy going to be following up here. And we're going to the outside to where that head-on was actually placed onto the map here. Nice bait out coming in from there, but that lag coming in is going to be hitting our killer smack bang in the face. We're going to be getting that box nice and out of the way pretty early on, so it's not really going to serve our killer any justice. So, you know, that head-on buying us a little bit more time is going to allow Drown to be able to make the shack 4-3 here. It does utilize the pallet, but we do not get the swing through it, unfortunately. And we will be just breaking that and just following up once more. No, we are going to be ditching and going for the survivor that actually worked the box. However, they have made their rotation towards 6 and been caught out here. But check spots, nice and safe. Is going to be playing around those shops there. It's just straight back in towards 8. It's going to be half the Snuts in chase here, but does get hit through the pallet after being hit by the chains. But the smash hit does come into effect there, allowing them to utilize 7 and just camping the pallets, really trying to play for those stuns and prioritize the death location. But however, we've hid in the bushes and are really trying to play the pallet stun. That's a preemptive drop there and a little bit too far ahead of ourselves. But with some nice chain placement, this can just result in their ultimate demise, because that's going to slow them down before making anything else. And they're forced to use the corner over towards 8. But however, this will be just them going down, and maybe we could get a pain resonance hook just before Jerry's generator actually pops in front of our face. And I'm not really too sure what the RNG is looking like. It's going to be really tight, really close, because, yeah, look at how much progression it has. Oh, do they make it? I don't think they do. Yeah, that's really unlucky, but we did hop off it in time. So the comms are there as far as our teammates go. Anarchy, pretty happy to take ground back towards the middle of the map. We even got a preemptive stealth going on there very early on, so hopefully we can get that pull untouched and unharmed. But Anarchy going to be following up here over towards 2. Does see in the distance that a generator procs behind him, but does not really give a damn about it, as he's pretty happy to take this chase over towards 1, which could potentially sacrifice the tunnel out. It probably is a little bit far-fetched to assume that this is a bad thing. However, we are still going to be getting those chains onto Jake, and we're even going to be trying to work the generator in front of our killer's face. Goblin going to be playing the aggressive game. The pallet does go down. He does not win the 50. He's going to be vaulting into the loving embrace of Anarchy. That's going to spell his ultimate demise and attack. However, where does he go from here? Does he follow up the tunnel out back towards 8, or does he commit main, or does he even go back for the survivor heading over at 1? I can't think he just knows that he wants to let 2 pop at this point. He knows he's going to be losing it at some stage in the trial. However, he has spotted Drown out again, but everybody but his tunnel out. Does he want Drown? He's looking around to see anybody crossing that might be injured, so that might actually pose that it could be Heartfulness, but he's just going to be happy to and content with taking this chase back onto Drown. Box going to be being done in the background too, so we've just made for a really nice death location into the guts of 8. Now, the question is, do we have anything over here to be worried about as far as our survivors go? Yes, they're playing a very good game right about now and dying nice and far away from the active. However, if there is a tight 3-gen in this vicinity, it could prove to be problems for them later on in the game. And you do have the likes of 8, you do have Gallows. I don't think there's a 3-gen here, which they're very fortunate to evade at the moment. You know, the generator here over at 7 is pretty centralized to everything. Usually there's one off here towards 8, but you know, RNG's serving us justice here. However, we do manage to get the Pentimento lit up into full effect, and Anarchy straight back on the case, ready to look for his next survivor. And we don't really see anybody at the moment, but we see rotations as far as the spectator goes. There's a reset happening over at 1, and I do believe Goblin is trying to make the long walk towards the unhook, all while in the meantime going to be utilizing the line of sight breakage to be able to just traverse and transport himself back to the unhook, just making sure that he's not in a state of where he can be seen. Anarchy pretty happy to just sit here, park the bus, and go back and forth between everything on the map here. And you can even see the generator regressing just shortly in front of him. But as per build, you do have the likes of Ruin that was broken, so it would have been actually pretty advantageous to us if it wasn't broken. You do have crowd control also gone, but one stack of Pentimento going to spell that little bit of that regression. I'm not too sure if the value is 10%, but maybe our lovely spectator can hover his mouse over like so and tell me what the perk does these days, because I keep on getting mixed up with old Penti and new Penti. Yeah, there we go, 20%. Yeah, and then an extra 3% for each each stack. It's going to be Anarchy in a locker there, and he's going to be pulled out of it. So, in the meantime, we do manage to get that box done in the background there. So, third stage of the game here, looking not too shabby. It is going to be on another survivor that is close to being our tunnel out. So either Drown or Heart for Snots would have been good to get done in this time frame. And hooked in the middle of the gens, might I add here. We're going for a little bit of a reset happening over there towards the carriage pallet, and somebody just hiding out in a locker. Or where do you go from here if you are the survivors? You know, with the survivor dead, very central into all of the action, it's going to prove to be problematic, and all of a sudden the game is kind of flipped on its head, and Anarchy has done very well to capitalize on every single mistake that the survivors have been making, because their death location is 11. However, if we keep dying towards these actives, they're just never going to get done regardless if everyone's in the trial or not. And you know, with 2 stacks of pain res being used, the game has regressed to a full stop at the moment, and Jerry only just starting another generator that's only just been touched really. And Anarchy just going to be ping-ponging back towards 7 and the hook central 6 here. Doesn't really have any real reason to leave now. This is where the killer will really prevail, especially a killer like this. Ranged melee is always going to be rough for the survivors in a scenario like this, to the point where they even have to double, like I was just going to allude to. Probably just going to be eating a tag, and then the safe survivor will just get the unhook here, but we've slapped the person on the hook, and you know, Heart for Snots has just managed to beat and cheat death, I guess. You know, that could have been pretty bad if they were actually hit straight beforehand. However, that's going to be the pallet going down on the outside of main, and Drown, nowhere to run, no more borrowed time, and he's just going to be going down just before making the window on the back half of main. Jerry ready to pop his generator, and I do believe that one would be over towards 1. So, actually, no, it's over at Gallows, so he's breaking the 3-gen, 4-gen, whatever the hell they've been allocated. Heart for Snots all the way over at 5. Goblin just caught in the midst of everything over at 1. Doesn't really matter that he's crouching. He can't really play for a pull because he's just kind of rendered obsolete. He can be working 1, actually, now that I come to think of it, because there is a generator over at 1, and Gallows is done in front of our killer's face, but he'll have no reason to go check 1, so we'll at least pull back to the 4K 1. Do manage to see the box being done in the background there, so maybe we'll go for the box all along, as I did forget that is a thing in this set. However, we do teleport straight back towards there, on top of Goblin, who, might I add, is utilizing 2. And has dodged a chain very nicely just before vaulting the pallet there. So the survivors are definitely in a good position if they can actually keep up the pressure and maintain everything. But after we get hit through the chains, it's going to sacrifice us a little bit of distance. However, look at that pallet over at the, you know, outside of main, and we're able to greet that very nicely. But we do manage to get hit with the chains there, and that's going to be us going down straight before the carriage. You do see in the background Harfesnuts and Jerry just pumping away right now, and it's looking really, really dangerous. It's broken the gens as well, so the survivors definitely have the ability to get outs in a scenario like this. Jerry forced off the generator over at 8. Harfesnuts caught over at 5 where the unhook has been happening, but we're playing a very aggressive game, and I'm kind of questioning this decision as to why we didn't actually rotate towards one and allow Jerry to go for the pull here. But you know what, with life in hand, that's exactly what we're doing. We're just doing it a little bit later than none. However, we are just going to be getting tagged after getting hit with the chains there, and if Anarchy is smart, he probably won't even follow up, and we'll just go back to the unhook onto Goblin here. However, you know what? Actually, it's probably not even the worst thing in the world to chase this over at 1, as he does do the box here. This is going to be the change, just momentarily stopping Harfesnuts here, as he does drop the pallet just to create that extra bit of distance around the 1 section once more. Is able to use 2, and all of a sudden, I'm not too sure if we'll be going for any sort of a reset shenanigans happening after the unhook, but we do slow vault the pallet, and Harfesnuts just going to be extending this chase even longer. And you know what? He has a good setup. He can last a fair bit longer, and you know, given that he doesn't actually get hit by the chains and hindered a little too much, going to be trying to shorten the loop there, Anarchy, but unfortunately, Harfesnuts will be going down in the corner of 1, and even Slug there to create so much pressure, because eventually they will have to go on foot and pick him up in the process. And Anarchy straight back on the case after the failed box attempt happened just before our eyes. Jerry going to be getting hit with that chain just before making the pallet there. So he does get slapped through it, and everybody in the trial currently injured at the 3v1, and you know, only 1 generator remaining. It's looking pretty dicey. However, my co-caster has missed the entire match and actually has the luxury of joining me this time around after, you know, some unfortunate events happening, at least within his living premises. How are you doing, Peaches? Are you all good here? Are we all in the clear?
Yeah, I should be good. I'll probably leave you to the rest of this trial, and I'll hop into the next one. But yes, I am okay. I am not on fire, although the casting was pretty fire, so it makes sense that the fire alarms went off. But yeah, I gotta check a couple more things, and I'll be good to go to join you in the next trial. So Hunter, you're doing great.
Excellent. Thank you for the update. Just making sure everything's all good, because my God, you had us panicking. However, Anarchy gonna be taking that hook onto Jerry Berry over in the corner of 6 now. It's, again, very far away from 1, and we have started it on the side of Goblin. We even managed to get Harfesnuts up and healthy in the trial now, but with the box being found, this is going to prove to be problems here. Anarchy going to be just slowly making his way towards 1 once more, and we do see Goblin just hop off 1 preemptively to go to the backside of 11 to play it nice and safe, and all of a sudden the game is kind of in a standstill, really. That, you know, you got some generators are far dispersed, and you got to hook more towards 8, I guess, but Anarchy will still have to put the pressure here, because the 3-gen isn't what it once was. He did lose his generators because he didn't really play amongst them. He just played 4 chase in certain aspects, and it really came back to, you know, give the survivors the upper hand once more. And I would say the survivors definitely do have the upper hand. If they can manage to get the box done in a safe location, and even just let Jerry cook on the hook, they can get some extra progress happening over at 1. So maybe that's the game plan here. So as we know what the killer's plan of action is, to kind of just bait out any trade happening and secure the second stage, let's get a quick rotation on what the survivor's doing in this instance, Mr. Spectator, please. Yes, there it is. Yeah, we're just slamming out 1 like we anticipated, and even playing preemptive for the stealth here. So not really worrying about the box too much. Actually, no, the box was done. Regardless, Anarchy. Oh no, it wasn't done. My mistake, I do apologize. It is, there's still chains on the map here, but we've managed to intercept 1, and that's going to be Goblin getting tagged. So off goes the unhook in the background there, because that had to happen right about now. And following up here, Anarchy really trying to bait out any sort of micromanagement mistake coming in from our survivor Goblin, but playing around main very nicely and utilizing it to what it's meant to do. I mean, look how strong the main building can be. We're going to be denying any sort of funny send me after that window, and that's going to be Goblin straight on the floor after being smacked. And yeah, in the background, you do have to get that box done, and that's exactly what the survivors did, and can potentially even go for the reset now, but they have to be careful not to be found in a spot like this. And we're going for the pickup here on the side of Anarchy onto Goblin. Going to be hooked straight in front of this generator. I'm going to be kicking it as well. No more pain resonant stacks. We only got crowd control in the dream, but I don't even think that's really going to serve us any justice here, as we do make slowly towards 2 again. Our survivors off in the distance somewhere. They weren't even going for a reset. They were just 3-spitting. My God! Oh, that stealth work. Chef's kiss. Well done. Round of applause to Heartlessness there to be able to evade Anaki's vision. And he is just going to be covering his ground back towards the hook again. So, straight back into the middle of the map. He does not know where anybody is, and that's a nice unhook coming in from our survivors, because you cannot allow Goblin to sit any longer. And if it was to happen, this is the best possible time for it, as least as our survivors go. We are really trying to wait out that endurance status effect, but not quite working out here. We have vaulted the window. Crowd control blocks it, and we're going to be vaulting the top one as well and trying to play around them, anticipating they'll go for the front loop, but no. Oh, and this chase has lasted a little bit too long now, because we have the likes of Toilet Pellet, the Gabinette. If we throw that, it's just going to allow Anarchy to not be able to get this down, but we didn't even throw it, and we tried to play greedy with it. We're going to be going for a pickup here, but I dare say those generators will be pumping away right about now. No. Oh, they are. No, they are. And 7 is going to be getting done in front of our killer's face. He's going to intercept 1, but he has no idea about 7. It has stopped. It has stopped everything just a little bit. We got the last generator done, and we want to be looking for those last 2 remaining stages for the 11 stage game. That's going to be the hook onto Mr. Heart for Snoots, playing around this pallet very nicely, winning a couple volts, but ultimately getting tagged in the end. Oh, but Jerry is gone for a box pull here as to oppose of the gate, which means that Heart for Snoots will have to do a little bit more God's work here if we're able to escape with the 1 stage. I don't even think that even if he goes down right about now, we would actually make the gate from this far into the map, as we would have to walk our butts all the way over towards the corner 11 spot. Now, these 1 saving grace isn't a miraculous chain happening from right about now, and he really needed to do that a little bit earlier. Oh, nah, he's safe, and he's just out, and it's nice to see them get 1 stage out the door after such a hard-fought trial. It was looking extremely grim towards the middle of the game, because our killer did have a very good start of the game. However, yeah, all it took was just a few good chases, some good box management, and a split of the gens, and all of a sudden they were up and away again. I think the killer's blunder essentially, yes, did get the tunnel out, but did not take care of his generators appropriately, and in the end, it really did hurt him. So 11 stages.
Welcome back, everyone, with the second trial of the second set. This is Peaches in a Fire here. We're joined once again with Hunter in a box here. And this is really, I came back to a really good time with the 11 stage for a fresh result that DreamPlayer was able to get. So now Goblin will have to get a 4K0 to get the win because of the half-foot penalty, because of the double head-on. That's the result. That's what Goblin needs to do. And we got see almost the exact same build. We see that the totems, honestly, a lot of these totems have not really been getting a whole lot of value. Again, I didn't see the previous trial, so I couldn't say too much of that one. But at least in the race set, and we see find the box immediately. But a lot of these are just not really getting the value that I think these killer players are trying to get. I mean, the totems get found out so fast, and it just basically gets no value, and where it gets to the point where you just kind of have to rely on your chains and hope for the best here. So I do really like the choice of Sloppy, though. A lot of people are going to definitely try to take some hits, take some body blocks, try to get their survivors to a better chase point against the Cinnamite. But yeah, we are going around main. We catch, I believe this was Fang Yun, if I'm not mistaken. We are already on the box. Yes, this is Fang Yun, but I don't think we're going to go after them quite yet. We've seen in previous sets, especially last week, how damaging the main can be for the killer chasing any survivor on main. I mean, it's a one-hit killer with all you got is chains, and yeah, you're not gonna, the killer's not gonna be having a good time. Instead, we're gonna find Zhou Dao over here at 8. We get our first tag onto them. Maybe we can follow the chain and go for the 2-tap, but as you can see, they're already going immediately over to main, because that is just the play. Main is so strong against the Cinnabite, and maybe there's a head-on play. No, there's not a head-on play. We'll go up the stairs, instead go into the back main, and we will now see the crowd control in effect here, so the survivors will definitely call that out and try to cleanse that, or maybe go for the ruin instead. So although in the process, though, we do see the first gen pop for this chase. This chase is going on for quite a long time, especially with crown control. You'd think with crown control being up, it would make main a little bit worse, but still, Zhao Dao is making everything work for him and faking the window in front of main. Maybe there's a head-on play. No, not quite on a head-on. Missing the chain. We will make it to the front pallet. This chase is taking way too long. Goblin, we need to wrap this up. If we want to get this win con, this is it. Like if Artorias loses this matchup, they are not moving on to the winners bracket here, or at least the chance to fight for even more. So Goblin opting to leave the chase and go toward main instead, missing the staircase. I think we're looking around 9, or maybe I'm not really too sure what Goblin's trying to do. I think, oh, we do have this nice Gallows 3 gen still here with a Hex in the middle of it, so there is something Goblin can play for. Maybe that's why they left these chases here, but I'm not quite so sure what the play is for Goblin here at this point, Hunter.
Neither. However, this is going to be a tag onto Watson, and everything is falling apart for Goblin. Our survivors are playing absolutely incredible right now. Going to be utilizing main as well. Pallet's still up, and you know, even though we chain at the pallet, we're still able to play the stun, and we're just going to be counteracting the movements of our killers. This is a fairly short filler that we can see over, but after it does go down, if you do not win the stun, you will just be going down. So over in the distance, you do see Feng Yang making their rotation. This can potentially be the first stage of the match here, to where we'll start utilizing that build, and I'm going to be slamming out that generator too. We got no pain resonance this time. I say using the build, you know what? I'd take that back, considering we actually didn't bring pain res. Maybe Goblin has something against pain resonance, especially on DDS, who knows what. It's going to be the hook just happening over towards edge map 9, and with boil over, it didn't even really help us, unfortunately. However, it is a perk being used, and you know, can help you in certain aspects. But Goblin, straight back over towards the middle of the map, he's going to be looking for his next chase. He really has to turn on the Jets now if he is going to be pulling up 11 stage win con. Oh, sorry, 4K0 for 11 stages is a tie condition. You know, if he's going to pull that, it needs to really put the Jets on, as I was saying. So anyway, chain's going to be going up and going to be stopping Yuan just before making anything over towards main, so this will result in another tag. So this Sloppy Butcher, what do you, I'm just drawing complete blanks. I don't even know what you want to call it, but Sloppy Butcher perk is going to be taking into effect there, slowing the game down just a little bit more. We're able to manage to do the box too, so going to be making these chases a little bit more easier to work with. But Yuan's just going to be going down on the up half of main, and he's going to be going down before the window. We do see Huaxin rotating over towards 2, and Feng Yang just going to be slamming out that totem like it is nothing, and that is going to be going Ruin out of the trial there. So, you know, you can go back and Pentimento it, I guess, if you do have the time to do so, which we do after we do make our ground coverage towards that section of the map and just slowly get over there, light the totem up. Well, you actually missed it, however. He's just got, I don't think he got to light it, buddy. You want to go back and set that one on fire. Maybe the smoke alarms might go off.
Yeah, he's a little worried about the alarms. He saw what happened before, or maybe the lighter's not working. He needs to get the charcoal going a little bit more. But yeah, poke at the flames. But yeah, this isn't a bad hook location though. I mean, this is near the 3 gen that we have here. I mean, this Gallows 3 gen could really work in Goblin's favor if he can capitalize on the survivors going for the trade. Oh, you almost caught out. Almost caught out Zhao Dao over either right in this corner here. They're waiting for the right moment to go for the unhook, because at this point, any more hooks in this area could be really bad for the survivors of DreamPlayer. But still, DreamPlayer is looking pretty solid. We'll pop that 4th gen in just a little bit. I know we saw a lot of progress on that gen at 12, but yeah, tackling this 3 gen though is going to be pretty difficult. But with the 4K0 as Goblin's win con, this is exactly what you need. But if any survivor leaves out those gates, it is over for them. So we will be fine with taking Yuan over to the 2nd stage and having a potential tunnel, because yeah, with this result and with the gens that are remaining and Ruin already out of the trial, crowd control out of the trial, we still have Penti and Sloppy. It can be pretty bad for Goblin. We do find Feng Yan over here at 8, trying to work away at that 8 generator, going for the window, going for the pallet vault, getting the injury on there, and this could potentially be a 2-tap. We get the chain and follow it up. We miss the chain though, so we will just slap the pallet down and maybe play around this wagon. And if we do get the down in this area, we might even get an even better hooks location for for Goblin, and right there in smack dab in the middle of the 3-gen or even into the basement, but we are going to make it over to the Shack Pal, immediately drop that down as we will connect the chain. But if Goblin can somehow get this down just a little bit sooner, maybe we can go into basement. But no, we opt to leave because but we see the resets happen in the background, so we know there's not anyone around working on the generators. I know that 8-gen had a lot of progress, but I think Goblin had to commit that chase just a little bit longer to at least possibly get Fang Yun into that 3-gen or at least into the basement or something, get some sort of pressure going, because now the survivors can just slow it down, get the reset, and get the penties going, because we're about to see basically no perks on Goblin, and basically all the pressure that he did have just be put back on the side of DreamPlayer.
Yeah, no, that is right. And Goblin still, yeah, you're right, needs to actually uphold the pressure that he has been keeping on here. And you know, over towards main, you're not really going to find anybody. They're all stealthing about somewhere off in the distance, you know, probably slamming out those motors more towards behind us right now, about 1 or so. And he's just kind of traversing, probably worried about 8 and knows that somebody would be crouching in this vicinity. But there goes 1, as we were saying. So there's only 1 more generator to pop. Now, if there is a spot to hold, it is backyard. So and what I mean by backyard, if you don't know, is more towards 6 and 7-ish, towards 9 and 10. It is definitely way holdable for the killer to be working with. However, he cannot overcommit anything. He's going to be getting a tag onto Xiao after getting those chains on him, and he's just opting to leave this and making Sloppy Butcher do its bit, I guess. Just straight back toward the middle of the generators. You know, the box is gone, but we don't really want to be worrying about that too much. We're also worried about anybody who would be potentially working over at 8. And if you do hear correctly, it is still regressing. So, you know, not once what the gen was, but our survivors probably have to leave it, in all honesty. Look out, no, these 3 gens are so close to each other. This is going to be pretty hard to be working with. That's a missed chain, unfortunately, so that's going to come back to bite him. Otherwise, that would result
Mirrored
in
illusion.
Oh, even I fell for that. I just realized it. Oh, get out. No, stop it. Oh my god.
Hunter, I know you're getting into your elder years here, but come on, you can't be missing that mirrored illusion. Come on, we missed that. But with that mirrored illusion chain, we get the Penty cleansed as well. So there is another Penty stack that we can get at 2. Actually, we're going quite toward it with Zhao Dao taking the chase over here. So if we get this down here and we can light the Penty at the same time, we will get a little bit more pressure involved. Lighting the wrong side. I'm sorry. You see him trying to light the other side of the wall. We do also get the box at the same time. Box, Penty, and we have Zhao Dao right here in front of us. This could be the point of turn for Goblin. Maybe get some pressure, but no, he opts to leave because once again, we with no gen regression perks at all whatsoever, except the Penty still up, well, just being lit. There's nothing Goblin can really do. Can't commit too long, and it's just incredibly rough for Goblin here. We are spreading the Sloppy Butcher at the very least, but with all these boxes being done in the far corners of the map away from the 3 gens, it's just this game is gonna be slowed down to like no tomorrow. And plus Yuan, ooh, I'd be careful with Yuan though. That if this does turn to a 3v1, it could be pretty bad for the side of DreamPlayer. But the survivors are just taking it super slow, taking the time, getting the resets. I think Yuan is basically now the dedicated healer, because if they do get found, Goblin could turn this into a win, because eventually these generators are going to run out of regression events. It's going to happen. I'm not sure where we're at. I didn't see the spikes quite yet, but we got to be getting pretty close, even with no eruption, no popping, no painter swinging for the pallet, not quite able to connect. We finally do get some blood, so we can catch up a little bit. We do get the injury onto them. We also see the clean break onto Hoxton, so in 60 seconds they will be healed. But yeah, I think this is Goblin's chance. We see that the clean break is being activated, which means healing is being done. Yeah, Zhao Dao did just get healed. Yuan is still fully healthy. We need to get this down. We need to get things moving here. I believe we will get the down over here, unless we try to see Zhao Dao trying to get a head-on play. But I think we need to take advantage of this. Just take the pick, pull it into the 3-gen, and pressure those generators. Oh, we see that firecracker that we saw you want to do, but that chase was still too long. We're seeing this generator being doubled out. Goblin just a little bit too long with this gen hopping. If any survivor leaves out the gate, this will be the set win for DreamPlayer. So Goblin somehow has to go on a crazy rampage with all 3 survivors fully healthy. I don't see that happening, especially with as weak of a killer Cinnabite is. it's going to be rough. But we do finally find our tunnel out after so long. After finally seeing him, like we had a good tunnel out. I think we could have committed at the beginning, but given the pressure and given what the result Goblin was given, it's just yeah, it was just gonna be a rough win economy anyway. But this, I mean, this is Hoxton with the box, so at least we can maybe get a little bit more pressure. But it is going toward main. But yeah, with crowd control out as well. I mean, you can just abuse main to its full capabilities, and it's gonna be yeah. With those players leading the trial, that is the official set win for DreamPlayer, taking the 2-0 victory over Artorias, and with Goblin's result, it is a 2-3 fresh 6-stage result. So congratulations, DreamPlayer, with this set win. We already Hunter and I already talked over it quite a lot, but